Hello Admirals and welcome back to my channel where I talk to you about Battlefleet Gothic, the space fleet game based in the Warhammer 40,000 universe. I really wanted to do another showcase video and also the fleets, and I really wanted to show the most recent fleet that I've been painting that some of you have seen on my Instagram and things like that, and it's the Space Wolves. And I've always wanted to do a Space Wolf fleet, just never really found the ships that I really wanted to kind of get and do for the fleet, but thanks to 3D printing and various kind of pulling together bits and bobs, I've been able to create a pretty cool fleet, I find, for the Wolves. And they're a bit of the thing at the moment, because there's new releases in the Warhammer 40,000 game, new troops and Terminators and characters and all that sort of stuff, new models for all of them. So I thought it was pretty apt to showcase this fleet now. And also, I figured for YouTube Admirals, some of you aren't on Instagram, Facebook, things like that, I thought I'd show you this fleet first before anyone else got to see it too. So you Admirals are getting to see this before anyone else, and then it'll release on all the other social media platforms, all that jazz, right? But I thought, yeah, a little bit of a thanks for watching kind of thing. I wanted to get you all to see it first. So without further ado, let's check out my Space Wolf fleet that I've got for Battlefleet Gothic. So here you go, Admirals. Here is the completed Space Wolf fleet. Well, I say completed. None of my fleets are ever completed, let's be honest. But the interesting thing about Space Wolves is it allows you to really kind of go home on and go hard on unique ships. So in the lore, the Space Wolves have a very huge fleet. They always have at least 13 separate ships, like capital ships, that act as flagships for their various different 13 great companies. And they have a couple of reserves as well, just in case one goes missing, etc, etc. So the beauty of Space Wolf fleet is in the current 40k timeline, you could do 13 very unique ships that all act as a flagship for those different companies, which is, I think, is a really cool thing. Very, very different from any other Space Marine chapter. So you can really kind of go to town, and in a way I've kind of tried to capture a bit of that with various different ships that kind of act, that all look kind of different but not at the same time, if that makes sense. They all look like they're part of the same fleet, with really only the 2 strike cruisers really being very, very similar, along with the 2 wolf prouds, I suppose. But the thought is, yeah, they all kind of run independently of each other in many respects. The interesting thing about a Space Wolf fleet as well in the lore is that they don't have a designated fleet master like the other like Ultramarines have in their 4th company. They have a fleet, what is it? A master of the fleet? Something like that, I think it's called, something like that. They don't have it. The serfs that serve on board all of their different flagships and craft act as the captains. And then they just trust those serfs to take them where they need to go. So they don't have a Space Wolf captain per se. I'm sure that they could take ownership when they in the lore if they needed to. But typically they trust the various different human captain serfs that are aboard to ferry them around. So yeah, a little bit of and so the beauty of a Space Wolf fleet is that you can have various different character ships, and in the Battlefleet Gothic fan-made additional ships compendium, there's a few different named character ships in the fleet that I really wanted to include in this. So I've got 3 main ones that I really wanted to include, which was the Iron Wolf, which is a Grand Cruiser, a repulsive Grand Cruiser, which has, come on, let's focus on there we go. Which is a repulsive Grand Cruiser, but it's got launch bays for your Thunderhawks, but it also had bombardment cannons as well, and that's the Iron Wolf. And that in the lore is the second one. So the first one got destroyed in a battle, but in that same battle, Space Wolves nicked another one, and so they just went, oh yeah, that's still the same one, so don't worry, it's the same one, promise, honest, don't check it out. No, the one thing with the Wolves as well is that they have the lore around if they defeat an enemy ships, then they claim it like pirates. They claim it as wreckage and claim it as like spoils of war per se. So that's why they have things like a repulsive in it, and the Mars, which is the Fist of Russ, which I absolutely love because the Fist of Russ has an overcannon on it, and no other Space Marine fleets typically have access to that. It's a Mars class, but instead of the lances, it has bombardment cannons on its dorsal spine, which I really love, as well as the normal typical things of a Mars with launch bays and some weapons batteries. The cool thing about the Fist of Russ in the lore is that when they were Magnus the Red was like sieging Fenris, the homeworld of the Space Wolves, Imperial Navy were helping them, and the original captain of the Fist of Russ, was ordered to retreat because the Imperial Navy were retreating, and he said no, he disobeyed orders, and said that his Nova Cannon was far more important to stick in the fight than running away. And it so happened that it helped, and the Wolves eventually won, but that wasn't without them being hulked. So the ship was hulked, and the captain died, and all that sort of stuff. But as a mark of respect, the Wolves claimed the Mars cruiser and repurposed it and called it the Fist of Russ. And the Imperial Navy won it back, but the Wolves just say, no, you can't have it, so tough. And so there's a little bit of anger around that between the Navy and the Space Wolves. But yeah, it's theirs now, and so they're keeping it. Now, I wanted just to quickly show you a couple of, before the other character ship, I just wanted to quickly show you a couple of others that I want. So typical strike cruisers that I wanted to include in the fleet that were pretty obvious. I quite like the little wolf transfers I managed to get on. I also wanted to do a couple of different company logos. This one actually is for the Wolfen. So whatever you do, don't board this ship, I think. So if you play against me, don't board that ship. Whatever you do. And then I got a couple of these really cool cruisers that were from eBay, actually, and with wolf heads. I saw them, and this was kind of the prompt for me to actually go and collect and do the Space Wolf fleet. I've always wanted to do one, but I never really thought about it until I saw those, like to add to it, and I thought, yes, that's a good catalyst to really start doing that. So what are those in? Those, although they look like Imperial cruisers, essentially, I would use them as strike cruisers in pairs. And because of their sort of robbing, stealing, pirate nature and getting hulks, I wanted to add just an old Chaos cruiser into the fleet as well. So just so that they've, another flagship. I'm not really, this isn't named or anything like that. So if you want to give me a name for this ship, that'd be great. But just added on a little thing from the Space Wolf Space Marines in 40k from it onto the prow. And I kind of wanted to, honestly, this is kind of an excuse to paint like an old school Navy red and blue, which I did the same with the Iron Wolf as well, just to add in. So the idea is that you have two strike cruisers, another two strike cruisers. They add the main kind of fighting force of the fleet, and then you'd have a couple of escorts, different squadrons, and then maybe the Iron Wolf or the Fist of Russ leading a smaller fleet. But they are expensive. Grand Cruiser is more expensive, and the Russ, because of those bombardment cannons and things like that, and the fact that it can put Thunderhawks on it, is more expensive Mars. It's 350 points for that character ship, so it's significantly more expensive than regular Mars, which is like 265, something like that. But so if I wanted to play a smaller game with these two potentially leading the line, then that's what I would. In larger games, though, I really wanted to have, obviously, a battle barge of sorts, and you can have normal battle barge, and there are a couple of different character ships included. This one, though, is the Pride of Fenris. This is Logan Grimnar's flagship with this company logo there. There we go. And this is an awesome 3D print model that my friend Chris designed and printed up based on a picture that was in the ship's compendium, and that's very expensive as well. So if we're doing a bigger game, then I'll bring that along. The cool thing about that is that it's a Retribution class battleship that's been retrofitted. So it was a normal Retribution, and then it got damaged, and so they replaced the prow with a normal battle barge prow. It's a souped up Retribution, quite frankly. It's got weapons battery 18, it's got some bombardment cannons on it, and it's got some Thunderhawks. I think it's an absolute beast of a ship. And I'm looking forward to giving it a go, actually. I've never played that kind of character ship before. And I'll be interested to see if it how it goes, but it is quite powerful. So in the larger games, I'm going to give that a go. They actually have another named ship as well. I can't remember the name of it, but it's an Emperor class battleship. It's a weird, like, sort of Viking style name. I would never be able to pronounce it, so I'm not going to try. But they have an Emperor as well, which is pretty cool. So there's scope to add more to this as well. I might add a couple more normal strike cruisers into it, and maybe a few more escorts and things like that. But we've got some hunters here to add some torpedoes, and we've got a couple of swords, because Space Marines can take swords as well, and firestorms and cobras. I might add some cobras or something like that, or firestorms. It's always good to add in some lancers into a Space Marine fleet. And I've got some gladiuses here as well. So these are my gladiuses, which I'm pleased with. So they can kind of, because of the little lance on the front, they can almost act as novas as well. So this guy can act like a nova, for example. So I can double them up as long as my opponent knows who and what they are, as they say. So that's the Space Wolf fleet. I typically will probably play this like realistically any other Space Marine fleet, with the aim of using strike cruisers in pairs to use bombardment cannons and Thunderhawks, while having a bit of a hammer, one of those three character ships as sort of the main sort of focal point of the fleet. And I think it's gone very light suddenly, so I'm going to just reduce down the exposure a little bit for you. There we go. No, maybe not. The wonders of sun coming through here in Australia. So tactically, yes, I think I will play them exactly the same as I normally would. Like I say, aiming to board, aiming to damage ships with bombardment cannons in pairs. Try and be fast try and be reliable with the strike cruisers, and then follow up with something like a massive. But it'll be interesting to see tactically how the Nova Cannon plays into a Space Marine fleet, because that's something that typically does not happen. So I'll be intrigued to see how that works. So there you go, Admirals. That is the Space Wolf fleet in its completion right now. And what other ships do you think I should add in? Are there any character ships that you're aware of in the lore that I should add in and I should read about? But it's a really cool fleet for narrative as well. And I hope you enjoyed it. So there you have it, Admirals, my Space Wolf fleet in its entirety. I'm sure I'll add to it in the future, especially with like escorts and things like that. But it was a really good opportunity to kind of give some different ships a go. In their lore, they kind of a bit like magpies, and they just hoard stuff, and whatever they claim is theirs. So it's a really fun sort of narrative kind of fleet you can kind of throw ships into. And they've got quite a few character ships, which is unusual. And granted, a lot of them are fan-made, thanks to lore and being named in the lore and things like that. But the community's gone and made rules for them, which is great. So yeah, I think it's quite a kind of cool-looking fleet. It's very eclectic, very different. You can't mistake it for any other Space Marine fleet that I have, for example. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Like, subscribe, all that sort of fun and games. Let me know other fleets and Space Marine fleets you'd be interested in seeing. I've got a few already now, which is good to go. But I think the next one that I kind of want to probably do and build is probably something like the Blood Angels, or maybe Night Lords. I'm not sure yet. I haven't got many traitor fleets in that regard. So one of them. Let me know which one you prefer to see, I think, in the future. Leave in comments and let me know. I hope you enjoyed the showcase, Admirals. I'll be back with more videos in the near future. Cheers, everyone. Thanks for watching.